Hello, hello. Sorry about that, guys. I'm still trying to figure out this stream. I wanted to stream on my phone because it's higher quality. How's my audio? So, yes, thank you for waiting. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thank you for coming today. I know we're all in we are all in difficult times right now, some more than others, and if you have your health, if you have the necessities in life, if your family's healthy, then I'm grateful for you. And if we have the luxury to be able to take the time to learn a few things about art and drawing in life, then we're grateful. So I hope that I can support you in some way today. I really appreciate it. First of all, just say hello in the chat room. Let me know where you are right now. Where are you calling from? And what time is it? I'm in Thailand. It's 10:20 a.m. So let's get started here. I have a lot of questions to answer, wonderful questions. So Mr. Brandon, hello. I struggle to come up with movie poster designs, comps with floating heads. Do you have any advice? I'm sure that's a big topic. Could be a whole class. Yeah. Well, design is, that's a great question. To answer your question, Brandon, I don't do much of the design. In fact, I hardly do any design at all professionally for the poster industry. I'm just the illustrator, and the designs are usually handed to me. So if you want to find work, I wouldn't worry so much about being a good designer. Well, I mean, designing the poster itself. Focus more on being a really good illustrator and a fast one. A good, fast, and reliable illustrator. That's your first job, Brandon. I hope that answers your question. Because when you're on the job, they give you the designs. And art directors, there'll be like a room full of art directors, and they'll give you the designs. You just have to illustrate them. At least that's my experience. So thank you, Brandon. Where are you located, Brandon? That's a wonderful question. Okay, hello, Tiago. Hello. I'm currently living in Asia. I was wondering if you had any experience selling originals or prints in Europe. Oh, I have no experience. Sorry. Do we charge VAT on those countries as selling as individuals? That's a great question. Sorry, I can't help you there. I deal in U.S. currency right now only. I'm trying to think, do I know anyone who sells to foreign customers in Asia? I don't. I'm sorry, Tiago. But what I would do is try to open some kind of foreign account if possible. That's what I'm trying to do. You know, I'm a U.S. passport person, so the long-term goal for me is to have an Asian presence. I plan to stay here long-term, so Singapore or Hong Kong would be ideal. That's the long-term plan for me, is to have some kind of access to the banking system in whatever region you want to do business in. Luis, sir, does it matter what order you render? Shadow first, but next. I see people drawing darks to mid-tone, lights to dark. Oh, that's a great question. It doesn't matter, actually. It doesn't matter. It kind of floats and depends on the look you want. What I do is, answer your question, Louise, It depends on the look I want. But if I want really tight realism, I tend to add the darks, try to go to the darkest dark, and then the lightest light. I try to get that on the paper. Is that the real Ryan Heitman? Oh my God. The real Ryan Heitman. Haven't talked to Mr. Ryan Heitman in a long time. Nice to see you, Ryan. Hello. Mr. Pete Whitaker. I've taught, hello, Kumar and Chin. Mr. Pete Whitaker. I've taught watercolor for many years. Wondering if you have any tips to gain an online presence. Oh, Pete, for me it was YouTube. You know, I was a bit lucky. I jumped on YouTube in 2010, way before anyone was doing videos, and I had no intention of scaling. I just put videos up, and people liked them. So I think YouTube is still viable. I would do that. I would produce your own YouTube videos. That's number one. And I have a feeling, I don't know if you guys agree or have tried TikTok. I have a feeling, Pete, and anyone's watching who has a similar online question, I have a feeling TikTok is going to be the number one platform. I mean, TikTok is, you know, I'm over 40 years old, so to me TikTok is very strange. But I have a feeling it's going to take over. So there might be something to explore, Pete. I don't know. Yeah, I have a feeling about TikTok, but I could be wrong. We'll see. But yeah, anyone who wants to get recognized online, I would start with YouTube. Really, and just put stuff out there. And it'll take years. It took me at least 2 years to get any kind of traction. And then I also wrote print. I don't know if it's viable today, but I wrote print. If I were to, and what I'm doing now is I'm writing more books. So if you want to have more online presence, do stuff offline too. So write books, physical books. Alex Holton, technical difficulties. Yeah, sorry, Alex. I'm still new to this streaming thing. Drake, session is still going. Yes. Craig Good. Oh, Mr. Ryan Good. Hello, Kumar. Bob, Chris, did you learn how to paint oils before going into digital? Yes. I went back and forth. I did a lot of traditional first. You know, I'm over 40 years old, so I was alive before Photoshop and cell phones. So yes, I had to learn traditional art before digital. I prefer traditional. Hello, Brandon. Hello, Alex. Mr. Drake. Sorry for the delay, everyone. Oh, Herb. I remember Herb. Good to see you, Herb. How are you, sir? Hello, Louise from Florida. Hello, India, Chicago, Indonesia. Wow, man, thank you for coming online. Wow, Tiago Costa, based in Taiwan. How is Portland, Mr. Ryan? I heard it's a wonderful place, very relaxed and laid back, and much less expensive than where you were. The cost of living is much lower, I hope. Hello from India, Pennsylvania. Wow. New Zealand. This is great. Man, thank you everyone for coming on board. I hope I can help you today in some way. Los Angeles, that's my former hometown. Sergeant tells to draw the halftones first. I would listen to him. That's good advice, Chin. Draw the halftones first. Typically, that's how I work. I block in the halftone. That's like, it's a Riley illustrative thing. Do you find it difficult to work overseas, able to work remotely? I do 100% of my work remotely. Yeah, I'm very fortunate. I did set this up kind of before I left the U.S., and I still have to maintain it. You know, I was planning to go to the U.S. in March 7th, but I canceled my flight. So, and you know, right now I believe the whole world is going to shift to remote work from home work. So I think it's something good to start practicing. The difficult thing about Asia is that Asia doesn't have the Western art tradition. That's the thing that's the most difficult to get here. You know, the realism, Western art, classical art, realism, and of course, you know, entertainment art is all in the U.S. and Hollywood. That's the most difficult part about living in Asia. Is I'm far away from that. Ryan, man, good to see you, Ryan. Thank you for joining us today. Mr. Chin, I don't use TikTok now, but if you go there, I'm going to use it. Yeah, I mean, TikTok makes me feel like an old dinosaur because it's so young. Mark Nunez, known you since you're fresh. Oh my God, I've lost that URL. You're very into the Riley method. When did you start out? Did you stick to one method or did you explore others? Yeah, I jumped around, Mark. That's a great question. You asked which method did you start with and did you jump around? Yeah, I jump around. Even now, you know, I'm always exploring new things. But purpose, the end goal. So meaning, what is your end goal for your work? Do you want to do photoreal illustration? Do you want to do mural paintings of figures? Do you want to do colorful landscapes? Do you want to do charcoal portrait commissions? All of those are different purposes, and you know, I would explore different methods, different teachers, different people. So it's about the purpose. Right now, I make most of my money doing movie poster illustration. So, you know, I'm leaning towards obviously Riley, Loomis, you know, that school of thought. But when I get back into figure painting, you know, I'll jump back into, you know, the Houston Rembrandt methodology. So it's all about the purpose. Chin, difference between classical realism and illustration. It's the purpose, really. Illustration serves a different purpose, in my opinion. Illustration is for, generally, what I understand it in the American tradition, it's to communicate something quickly on a, I don't want to say commercial scale, but on a, to reach a large audience quickly. That's generally the purpose of illustration. When I think of realism, I think of, you know, I think of oil paintings and statues and things that are meant to be enjoyed quietly by a small group of people. I could be wrong, but again, realism to me is a result, but the methods they're pretty much the same. Nunez, I love Loomis. I have Loomis, Bridgman, Fargaso's great lying around too. I've got to learn those. Yeah, man, I copied Loomis and Bridgman until I was blue in the. Bridgman was my first. I loved Bridgman. I used to copy his drawings all the time. Mr. Drake, the challenge for me is to keep gestural quality as the drawing progresses instead of getting tighter. Well, join the club, Drake. That is everyone's challenge. That is, you'll be experiencing that for the rest of your life. That is, yeah, that's the goal, is to maintain that freshness and vitality. I recently listened to an interview by a man named Casey Bao. Casey Bao is a fine artist. He's a spectacular, incredibly skilled and talented. And he was talking about the same thing. He was like, man, you know, I got to maintain that freshness and vitality at the end. and he's been painting and drawing for 30 years at a world-class level. So join the club. Luis de Bale. Does it matter what order you render? Shadow first, but next people darks to mid-tone lights other than lightest? That's a similar question. It doesn't matter what order. What matters, I believe, is the end goal, the purpose. So, for example, if you're doing a full, like for example, I recently did some tighter drawings, I guess, and I want realism. So, and the woman has black hair, and she's wearing something very dark. So of course, I'm going to punch in the blacks first, and then put in a white so I can have a scale. I'll put up a JPEG somewhere so you can see it. And today I'm working on a drawing. Try to make it a realistic drawing, and it's blown out. It's very white. It's a very high key drawing. So I don't need the blacks. So it's about the purpose. The look, the purpose and the look. Don't worry so much about the method, but think about the look and the purpose. Like, do I want tight realism? Do I want suggested realism? Do I want illustrative look? Do I want, is the composition more important than the form, than the chiaroscuro? That kind of thing. Hope that answers your question. Hi, Chris. Mr. Izzy. I learned a lot from you. Greetings from Argentina. Oh, hello. Thank you. Oh, Argentina is amazing. Mr. Fran. Hi, Chris. I loved your Gumroad on color. Any plans to continue the series? Yes. Man, I've been wanting to produce courses for a long time. I think the next course will be shading and movie poster. Yeah, it's coming. I just gotta get organized. And I plan to do live classes too. Mr. Herb. Chris, your lesson a number of years ago helped me figure. Hi, Herb. I did definitely remember you. I believe we worked privately together. Herb was one of my mentees a long time ago, before I really knew what I was doing. And he made some progress. Yeah, I'm so glad that, I hope you're doing well in Hawaii, I believe, Herb? Yeah, I would definitely love to see your work again and get in touch with you, catch up with you. Brandon, are you going to publish your book to digital? We can't really get essential items posted. Brandon, do you mean the life drawing book? I believe there's a Kindle version. I didn't publish that. It's published by Rockport, which is the same publisher as Steve Houston, and they're a major that's not mine, but I believe it's on Kindle. I hope that helps. I don't use Kindle books, so I don't know much experience. Oh, Chin wants to know about grip. I'm going to make a video for you, Chin. It'll probably help if you can see my hand. But to answer your Chin asks about grip, but to most of the time now I use, can you see these? Ballpoint pen, pencil, and I just hold it like I'm writing. That's the main grip right now. I do 99% of the work like a writing grip. Mr. Ed Hart, hello, sir. You mentioned Houston Rembrandt method for figure painting. I'm not familiar with that. Oh, Steve Houston is he's just a famous art teacher. He was one of my teachers, and he basically stole most of Rembrandt's look and techniques. And he'll admit that, and I and many others steal from him. So that's what we do. It's basically chiaroscuro, high contrast, single source lighting, chiaroscuro, with beautiful paint handling. I think the big difference between Rembrandt, from my limited knowledge of art history, the big difference between Rembrandt and Caravaggio sort of invented or fathered chiaroscuro, meaning high contrast, dark shadow, form rendering. Rembrandt has beautiful surface quality. I don't know if you've ever seen a Rembrandt in person or a high-res scan of a Rembrandt. The surface is incredible. The surface is like mind-numbing. If you get a chance to see a Rembrandt in person, look at the way the paint is. It's because it's not flat. That's the crazy thing about good oil paint. It's not flat. It's actually a relief sculpture, and Rembrandt does this. Admittedly, I don't go to museums much, but as far as the realist paintings I've seen in person, Rembrandt has the best surface quality. It looks like a relief sculpture. It's incredible. It's an incredible thing to see in person. And Steve Houston does that. If you've seen Steve Houston in person, his surface quality he stole from Rembrandt too. Anyway, it's an oil painting thing. It's very exciting. I hope that answers your question. And it's an oil painting thing. Mr. Chin asked, do you do commissions? In the last 2 years, I've done 2. I don't really like to do commissions. Mark Nunez, I enjoyed your trained public sketches from a year back. Wow. Besides studying with Houston West, do you create personal exercise routines? Yeah, that's a great question, Mark. One of the things that I love talking about more than the skill is the actual practice, meaning exercises. I think, and this is one of the things I want to go into more, is to share more how to do exercises. Because there's a lot of guys that teach how to draw face in 3/4, how to draw just right. There's thousands of good hours of good content on how to draw this, but there's not a lot of, okay, how do you practice for 2 weeks? If you have 1 hour a day, what's the best use of your practice time, right? And I think about that all the time. So to answer your question, Mark, yeah, right now I have this practice schedule. I have a grand practice schedule in my mind, which someday I will execute, but right now, basically, first thing in the morning is I do just a stream drawing. I try not to think, just kind of stream. So draw 30 minutes or 1 hour, and that's pencil on paper. Right now I draw from photo, but if I had the ideal, I would have a model. I would have a model in my house. That's my dream. I want to wake up at 10 a.m. and have a model in my house ready to go. That's the dream. But if I don't have a model, I'll set up a still life. If I don't have a still life, I'll draw from photo. Does that make sense? So first thing in the morning, I wake up. As soon as I'm awake enough to grab a pencil, I roll out of bed and draw something, whether it's 30 minutes or an hour. For me, that's like my meditation. I also meditate too, but that puts me in a state of mind like my whole day goes well. If I do that, my whole day goes well, because it reminds me like, okay, this is who I am. It's not just a physical exercise, but it's a mental thing for me. It reminds me like, okay, this is who I am. This is my identity. This is my purpose in life. I was put on earth to do this thing, to draw a little picture, right? So that's the first set of practice. So that's both skill, physical, and mental training. And then I try to squeeze in a portfolio drawing. So whatever that means for you. So whether your portfolio is, oh, I want to get into galleries, or oh, I want to sell portrait commissions of my neighbors and friends, right? Or oh, I want to draw comic book covers. Right now, I want to get more movie poster work, so I do portfolio piece of celebrity heads. So I try to squeeze in a portfolio piece sometime in the day, and then at night before I go to bed, I do master copy. Right now I'm reading a book called Framed Ink by Marcos Mestri. He has a long French-Spanish name. His name is Marcos something, Framed Ink. So I'm reading his book and copying his work. If I didn't have his book, I would copy Velázquez or something. Does that make sense? So a stream of consciousness in the morning, first thing in the morning, portfolio piece, so something that can lead to money, basically, something that could lead to income, to money in the middle, and at night, a skill development, something that'll improve your skill for the next day. So that's where I'm at right now. Now, if eventually those things will turn, right now I can only squeeze in about 30 minutes to an hour. Eventually they'll turn into a whole day. That'll be my whole day. I'll be like 3 hours in the morning life drawing, 3 hours in the afternoon skill, something portfolio, whatever, something money related, whatever, oil painting, long drawing, whatever, and then 2 to 3 hours of skill development at night. Hope that answers your question. But I would squeeze those in, whatever that means for you, where you're at. I'd have to see where you're at to give you a good answer. Oh, sorry, I got a little long-winded there. That was Mark. Mr. Bob and Weave. What was your first professional art job? I got a job as a, this is why I know so much about career stuff. I've been doing it since I was 19. There's a lot of factors that helped me get that job, but, and this is animation by hand with drawing, with pencil. This the fun kind of animation. Herb Lee, still in Hawaii. Oh, thank you, Herb. I'd love to get in touch with you. Mr. Luis DeBale, I've seen charcoal drawings done using tone, blocking values, detail for the end. Is there a course or book that goes into this deep concept? Charcoal drawing book. Oh, Luis, I would look at Nathan Fowkes released a charcoal drawing book. It's for heads. He's the only one I can think of off the top of my head. Sarah Davis. Hello, Sarah. I always had trouble with hands. As far as figure getting those overlap forms without making a mess is so frustrating. Yeah, hands is tough. You know what I did, Sarah? I drew my left hand for like a year. I drew my left hand every day for a year. I hope that helps. I would just I would sit and have my sketchbook and I would draw my left hand. And then when I got bored of that, I would put a mirror in front of me and I'd draw my left hand in the mirror. And Bernd Hogarth's handbook helped me a lot. I don't know if you have seen it. Might be a good book. It's a really good. What I did was I copied Bernd Hogarth's diagrams, and then I drew my own hand, and I did that for at least a year. Steve makes every mark count. Yeah, and also Steve. Steve's not afraid to try and fail. That's what's beautiful about him. He's fearless. And he has relentless work ethic. So he has the He's willing to try and fail and try again, and he's willing to put in a lot of hours until he gets it right. Ed Hart, that was, thanks. I was just looking at that one. Amazon. Steve Houston's making a new book, sequel of Making Every Mark Count. I don't know. Oh, thank you, Herb. Tiago Framed Ink. Yes, Marcos Mateo Mestre. Love that book. Ryan Heitman. Punching heavy bag. I know, but I do exercise. I'm doing pull-ups right now. How was the drawing scene in Portland, Ryan? Have you worked with animation company? No, just it was a little startup game company in the U.S. It was for video games. Oh, I got to get ready for the drawing stream, guys. So I'm gonna cut out here. What I'm gonna do is I got to get ready for the drawing stream. Anatomy, yeah, anatomy. Man, thank you so much. More, and if there's another time zone that's more convenient, let me know. You know, I could do one maybe 12 hours later as well. It will be nighttime for me. So but right now I got to cut out and I got to get ready for the other stream, guys. So thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it, and I will talk to you soon. And some of you are going to stick around. I'll also stream in about 5 minutes. All right, thank you guys.